Welcome back to Predicting the NFL with Mickey G. It's yours truly, your host, Mickey G, and we had a pretty solid week last week. We went 11-5, which is actually the second best of a week 2 ever, so that's great. Game of the week we were incorrect on. The Chiefs looked a lot worse than I expected them to. The upset we did get correct. The Falcons did go out there. They handled business. McCarthy looked bad for all 4 quarters rather than just 3 out of the 4. Falcons were in charge of that game the whole time, and they never really let go. Crapfest, we were incorrect. We were almost correct, though. Panthers almost had a great fourth quarter comeback going. The Cardinals really tried to give that one away, but they were able to hold on. The Panthers got in their own way because, Bryce Young is, in fact, their quarterback, and he did sell at the end. Even though the Cardinals were, and the refs were just giving them extra yards, it wasn't enough to get them into the end zone, which is what they needed. So they did end up losing that one. The Jersey team did, in fact, win. The Cowboys went out in a big OT winner against the Giants. Big, crazy game, exciting game, lots of points, 80-something points. And the leg of Brandon Aubrey saving them once again. And my pick was also correct. I did pick the Cowboys. So now total on the season, we are 23-9, 1-1 in game of the week, 1-1 in upset, 1-1 in crapfest. Jersey teams are 2-0, and my picks are 2-0 as well. An interesting little fun fact there is that the Jersey pick was the first correct pick for week 2. We were 0-5 previously, and now I am 1-5 in my Jersey game picks. Now, week 3 historically, we are bad. 49-47. That is the worst regular season percentage for our picks. So that is not great. We are 2-3 in games of the week, 1-4 in upsets, 1-4 in crapfests. Teams are 2-1 when we're in Jersey, but my picks are 0-3. So we're hoping to get our first win there and to clean up some of those other spots as well. Let's try to get 500 in games of the week, try to pick up the crapfest score and the upset score a little bit. Bet you're wondering, how did the betting go? Well, I had $127.32 after week 1's games, and so I put $5 on each of the games, money lines, and then I also had a couple other bets as well, and so I got my total to 160. Now, specifically for the games, I went from 80 to 97.92, which is less than last week, so we made less per game. But that's also because we got 1 game less. So if we had another 5 in there, if we had got 1 more game correct, I think we would have been over the total of last week. So pretty good in the betting, but that also means we're at the 160 mark now, which means we can put $10 on every game now, which is my plan. My plan now is to take that, and once I get 80, so once I get to 240, I'm going to take out the 80 so that I'm clean, and then I'm playing with house money for the rest of the time. But potentially we could get that this week. I think there's a decent chance now that the numbers are a bit higher. We only have to get money back in half, which I feel like we've gotten close to doing in the previous weeks with the extra bets involved, as well as the regular money line bets. But that's enough about last week. Let's get into this week's predictions. And first off, we have a terrible Thursday night game. Unsurprisingly, it is the Dolphins at the Bills. Bills are my number 1 team in the NFL currently. Dolphins, if I remember correctly, they might be 31. Okay. I put up my power rankings each week, usually on Twitter. If you want to go check that out, at the Glussman5. A little plug there. You can go see my ball knowledge all throughout the week instead of just one time a week. Because why would you want to limit yourself to just 1 week of Mickey G's ball knowledge? But we know what's going to happen in this game. Bills had an easy victory over the Jets last week, and the Dolphins lost a close one to the Patriots. Bills should go out there, they should win, and then potential McDaniels firing afterwards as well is in the air. Next is the Colts at the Titans. We have ourselves another divisional matchup here. Colts with a big surprise victory over the Broncos. Offense looking really well against what's supposed to be the best defense in the league. The Titans, on the other hand, looking bad once again. They got smacked by the Rams close early, and then things got out of hand and it was over for them. Colts looking much better than I expected them to, and I do hate the Titans, so I am going to go with the Colts in this one. I think they're going to continue. The Titans have looked bad, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. Next is the Bengals at the Vikings. So, interestingly, both teams' quarterbacks are not playing this week. They're starting quarterbacks. Joe Burrow got hurt in the second quarter against the Jaguars, and J.J. McCarthy apparently got hurt at the end of the Vikings game. He played the whole time, but he is out this week, and I believe an ankle injury, so he will not play either. So that means we get Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz, and I am very excited about this, okay? Sam Darnold, we all know, put up a career year last year in Minnesota, and I think most people should agree that Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. At least his peak is higher than Sam Darnold. That's without question. I think the Vikings have something exciting here. I think they might be put in a situation to where the veteran quarterback comes in because the young guy gets hurt and he plays so well that it's stupid to put the rookie back in. So I'm very high on the Vikings, and I think that their defense is going to destroy Jake Browning. It's going to scare him, terrify him. Even if he's chucking that ball up to Chase and Higgins, I think it's not going to be enough. I think Wentz on the other side is going to be able to handle things solidly and get him a victory and his first start for the Vikings. Next is the Steelers at the Patriots. This is our crap fest of the week. Mentioned my power rankings earlier. These are the teams that are closest on the bottom half of the league. So that's what ended up being. A lot of these games are kind of one-sided, a little lopsided. So I went with this one. And after last week's performance, Steelers do look bad, and Patriots barely beat a really bad Dolphins team. So Steelers are historically 2-0 in Crapfest. Patriots are 1-5. I think a lot of those were last year. Steelers, my picks are 2-0, and Patriots, my picks are 2-4. So not a whole lot to go on there. Small sample size for the Steelers, but also historically they're not that bad. They're usually very mid-average, especially the last 8-10 years or so. I'm actually going to go with the home team here. I'm going with the Patriots. I think Drake May had a great game last week, and the Steelers defense has looked horrible so far. And so I think Patriots are getting their footing there. Vrabel's getting his footing there in New England. I think he's going to be able to set some stuff up there and help Drake May get another victory. Next is the Rams at the Eagles. This is our upset of the week. Rams in upsets are 5-4, and Eagles are 3-2. My picks, however, are 2-4 with the Rams and 1-4 with the Eagles. So not great picking these, but that's kind of the case with all upset games. So to have 3 combined between them is actually pretty interesting. I think I picked the Rams to upset the Eagles last year as well, and I'm doing it again. I'm very high on the Rams. I say this multiple times. I think they gave the Eagles their best game last year. Boga! And while I do think that the Eagles are probably this year's Chiefs, and where they're going to win a lot of ugly games and people are going to rank them lower than they are, and they're going to end up going deep in the playoffs and stuff like that, I will be falling for it, and I will be picking teams to beat them, just like I did last year. So, going with the Rams, not loving it, but it's happening. Next is the Jets at the Buccaneers, and big news in this game, Justin Fields is out with a concussion, which means Tyrod Taylor is getting the start, and he looked good last week. He got 2 drives, and I believe he had more yards, and he also had a touchdown, which Fields did not have. So he looked better. I mean, obviously, Taylor is a good quarterback, and he just needs his shot. I think Wilson's going to enjoy that a lot, and the success in the pass game should open up the run game a little bit more. So hopefully Breece Hall will be able to do things. But he is going up against the Buccaneers, who I think are a top 10 team. I'm very, very happy with how the Buccaneers look this year. Baker Mayfield getting a nice game-winning drive on Monday night against the Texans, which I love to see as a fan of the Jaguars. So I don't think much is going to change here. I don't think just the quarterback changed enough to turn that whole team around. I do think it should be a close game, but I do think the Buccaneers are going to get it again, like they have snuck out a victory the last 2 weeks. Next is the Raiders at the Commanders. Raiders, tough loss last week against the Chargers. They looked not great. The Commanders also did not look great either. They got smacked by the Packers. But I think the Packers are a really good team. So I think that weighs into a lot of it. Potential Jaden Daniels might not play, but Mariota's the guy behind, and I think he's good enough to do enough to get that victory. I think the rest of the team around him is also better than the Raiders have. So I think I'm just going to go with the home team here. Commanders should be able to get this one, especially if Daniels is healthy and playing. Next is the Falcons at the Panthers. Falcons with a nice victory last week over Minnesota. Panthers had a little bit of a sneak attack there at the end against the Cardinals, but it was not enough. Falcons, I think, are a better team. I think I'm very impressed with them. I think they had a pretty convincing victory. They need to help out. They need to fix some things in the red zone, but Vikings defense is really good, whereas the Panthers is not. So I think they should be able to do a lot more, open up a lot of things. I think Bijan should have a nice big game. And Penix, I think, should go out there, throw for like 250, maybe a couple touchdowns, stuff like that. I don't think they should be particularly close. Falcons have a chance at the division, especially with how close they were with the Buccaneers and how they should have won that game. And the new kicker that they picked up, he was automatic. He might steal the job from Younghoe Koo, which could be a big storyline. But yeah, Falcons should get this one easily. Next is the Texans at the Jaguars. Jaguars last week, they disappointed me. They should have won that game, and a lot of that rides on Brian Thomas Jr. No longer BTJ. From now on, he is Brian and only Brian until he proves that he is that guy that he was last year. Because this year, he's scared of the ball. He's not getting as open. He doesn't want to catch. If there's any amount of traffic, he gets terrified. He gets those alligator arms, and it's hurting us a lot. He had a drop touchdown. He had a drop fourth down conversion that would have given the Jaguars the game, basically. It would have given him the game. And he couldn't do it. So there's a lot of situations where that messed us up. I mean, also there was the Travis Hunter beautiful pass deflection that they called pass interference for some reason because they just don't know football, apparently. The refs should be taken out back. Texans, on the other hand, they struggled against the Buccaneers. Their offensive line is continuing to look terrible. Looks really bad. And the Jaguars' D-line so far has gotten a lot of pressure. They have 6 sacks already on the season. They have the most turnovers in the league currently. The defense is playing pretty well. And I think they should be able to put some work in and get things done, especially here in Jacksonville. Even though the Texans historically are good in Jacksonville, I'm believing in this new Liam Cohen-led Jaguars to go out there, get a victory, and try to stay in that race with the Colts right now for the division lead. So next is the Packers at the Browns. This is our Jersey game. If you can't tell, I got the Clay Matthews on. Historically, in Jersey games, the Packers are 3-1-1. That's right. There was a tie one time on a Jersey game, which is just disappointing. The Browns, however, have not been in a Jersey game before. This is their first time in a Jersey game. So exciting stuff for them. Packers, my picks are 2-3. One of those losses is the tie, so that's not really my fault. So I'm kind of okay picking the Packers. And here's the thing. Packers are a top 3 maybe team in the league. Top 5 for sure, maybe top 3 in the league. They're looking really good right now. Browns are top 5, maybe, definitely bottom 10, not top 5. Bottom 5 or bottom 10. In the league, so this shouldn't be close. We saw what the Packers did last week against the Commanders. They're going to go out there and get this one win, and it's not going to be particularly close. Next is the Saints at the Seahawks. Saints are keeping games a little closer than I expected. I will say that. I think it was just a 1-score loss for them last week against the Niners, if I remember correctly. And Seahawks, on their hand, they got themselves a nice victory over the Steelers. Now, both these teams have now lost to the Niners, both close games against the Niners. And I do think the Seahawks are better. I think their defense is dramatically better than the Saints. They allowed less points to the Niners, if I remember correctly. And I just think they're better. I don't think the Saints are good. The Saints have looked better than expected, but still not good. They're still not winning the games. They're not finishing the games. And so I am going to go with the Seahawks here. Get this one second straight victory, and this one at home. Next is the Broncos at the Chargers. Broncos disappointing me so far this year. They're keeping a lot closer with teams than I expect them to. I really expected there to have a big shutdown by their defense, and that's not been totally the case so far. Chargers, on the hand, are looking fantastic. They look easily like a top 10 team, maybe even top 5 team. They're looking phenomenal, and they don't show signs of slowing down. Their offensive line play is great right now. Herbert's getting tons of time, which he is not used to having. And the receivers are making plays. Quentin Johnson, another long touchdown, second week in a row. Keenan Allen, also another touchdown for him. These guys that they brought back, they're being revitalized and all that. They're looking really good. Their run game I would like to see get involved a little bit more, but currently they don't need it to because the pass game's working so well. But they should go out there. They should beat the Broncos. I don't think the Broncos offense will be able to keep up with what the Chargers are doing. Next is the Cardinals at the 49ers. I've been hating on the Cardinals for weeks. I was really hoping they were going to lose that one to the Panthers, and I thought for a minute it might actually happen. But then Bryce Young disappointed me like he's disappointed all Panthers fans. The Niners, on the other hand, they're playing games a lot closer than expected. Mac Jones did have a great game in his debut for the Niners. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Pretty good stuff there. I think he can do that again. I don't think this Cardinals team is good. I don't think their defense is good. I don't think their offense is good. There's a lot of disappointment there for the Cardinals from me, so I think the Niners should go out there and get it. Their defense has been a little lackluster than what I like to see from them, but I think it will get better, continue to get better. They lost a lot of guys last year, and they got to rebuild a little bit. They got to find these spots for these new guys, and I think they'll get it done, and they'll get this victory. Next is the Cowboys at the Bears. Cowboys, I don't think are great, but their defense is definitely bad. Their offense, on the other hand, can put up some serious points. Bears, on the other hand, they are bad. They got absolutely smacked last week against the Lions. And week 1, they gave up a fourth quarter comeback to J.J. McCarthy, of all people. So I'm not very high on them. While I'm not high on the Cowboys, I am much higher on them than I am on the Bears. So Cowboys should go out there. They should get this one fairly easily. But I would expect the Bears to get a little more points than maybe they should. Next is the Chiefs at the Giants. Chiefs, another loss. Their offense can't get anything going. The Giants, however, against that Cowboys defense, they put up tons and tons of points. Russ Wilson was on the money with those moon balls up until he wasn't, and it cost them the game. The Chiefs are the better team here. They should win this game. I do think it may be closer than expected, and that's the only thing. Or maybe they'll figure it out this week. They'll turn around and it'll be a major blowout. But the Giants encouraged me last week, seeing they could put up those points, seeing if they could get Russell Wilson to get those throws, they can be successful. But I don't think it's going to be enough to beat the Chiefs here. And our last game, this is our Monday night game, with the Chiefs-Giants being that Sunday night game. This is the Lions at the Ravens. This is our game of the week as well. Lions in games of the week, 5-2. Ravens 6-7. My picks, 4-3 for the Lions and 9-4 for the Ravens. So I seem to know what's going on with the Ravens for the most part. Lions right around that 500 spot. So I should know what I'm doing with these teams. Lions had a huge victory over the Bears last week. A lot of that probably has to do with the animosity between losing Ben Johnson to them, to a in-division opponent, which he did not have to do. But let's not forget that they looked very, very bad against the Packers. Ravens handled business against the Browns last week. Not a close one there. And we know about their crazy loss to the Bills. I think the Ravens are a top 3 team in the league. I think the Lions are around that 10-15 range. I want to see if they can look good against a good team, and this is a good opponent to do that against. But I do think the Ravens have the upper hand here. I think they should go out there and they should get this one. And I think it has the potential to be a lot bigger of a win for the Ravens than it may be expected to be. That is all the games for this week. I have high hopes. I forgot to look, or I looked earlier and then I forgot to say it. How we do historically week 3. I know we do around 500, but what our best is. We went 12-4 back in 2019, and that is the best. And then after that, the best is 9-7, which I really hope that we beat. Last year we went 6-10, which was awful. But we should be able to beat that. I think we will, and I have confidence. So, go Jags, and I'll see you guys next week.